Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I hope you can hear me okay. Can somebody just let me know that my mic is working and that my screen is sharing?
You're good.
Thank you very much. So today we're going to talk about the state's new spill release program. This program also manages Tier 2 reports. Today's session will be focused on the emergency managers and the fire departments. We have other sessions going on as well. On Thursday, we will do a Tier 2 reporter session that'll kind of walk through how they fill out the form that goes to the emergency managers and the fire departments. And on Friday, we'll do a spill/release report for anyone that has a spill or release to be able to do that. So on Monday the 23rd, we will also do a evening session for the fire departments and the emergency managers to help with some of the volunteer or part-time emergency managers, volunteer fire chiefs that need to also see the system. So the way the system was designed was to be a one-stop shop for all of the state agencies as well as the spill reporters to handle all of the system needs. So oil and gas, Department of Environmental Quality, Department of Agriculture, and Department of Emergency Services have combined all of our federal and state laws into this one system so that everything is handled in one spot. What that does for our emergency managers and fire departments is allows them to have a login that can manage both their Tier 2 facilities, their hazardous material storage facilities, as well as their spill incidents. And that's where we're gonna get into today. So as an emergency manager or a fire department, the first thing that'll have to happen is they'll have to register for an account. This will be a one-time thing. Licensing right now, we have one license per fire department, one license per county emergency management area. So you may want to make it a little bit generic so that it can be shared if you have multiple people in your office. So the first, when I click on the registration, it's going to ask me this: are you reporting an incident like a chemical spill? Your guys' answer is going to be no, and you'll click next. And then it's going to ask what type of user you are. Are you a facility or business user or responder or planner? Our emergency managers and our fire departments are responders, planners. And then we would click next, and then it'll bring us to this registration form. This form will set up your account name and your password, all of that stuff. User contact is in here. Anything with the red asterisk we will need to be able to set it up. And then we get down to the roles and access. You'll see here that the local tribal emergency managers will register for a jurisdictional planner role. So you would just click on that jurisdictional planner and add it, and it'll move it over as your primary role. If you're a fire district, you would use the basic jurisdiction role. Now, you see when I put jurisdiction planner in here, it automatically changed all these to the county. So then we can go through and we can select the exact county that we need, and we can add it, and it'll move it over, and then you submit. We do have the CAPTCHA, so just the robot, make sure that you're a real person, and then we can get your account set up. If we go to the fire department, you'll see it. We put in all the fire departments in the state. So at the basic jurisdiction level, you'll be able to find your fire department, and then you'll be able to move it over to register for that account. Once you're registered, there is an administrative level that we do to connect your account to your county and make sure that everything is working properly. So once that's completed, you will be able to log in. And once we log in, this is an emergency manager's home site. This is what it's going to look like. The last login date for your site is going to show up. I click OK on that, and then you'll get this disclaimer. The disclaimer is just saying that a lot of this information is automatically thrown onto the site from the submitter. So from the tier 2 facility, the chemical storage facility, or the person that's reporting the spill, this is just kind of that disclaimer saying that the information is only as good as what they put in and is subject to change. Just making sure that everything that we get is as real as it can be, but we do know that there are some mistakes. The other thing with the spill reporting side is there will be changes as they do updates. So it can change as they become more information available. We click OK on that, and it brings us to this home page like this. You'll see things are interactive. I have Stark County right now because it's one that we tested in, so we know there's information in here to show you guys. State name, the number of active facilities deals with the hazardous chemical facilities that have reported. Inactive facilities would be anything that is closed that we still had reports on or that there was still information on. Number of extremely hazardous chemicals within your county will show up. Anything that has the cold will show up. And then the number of incidents will be active spills within your county. So we're going to start right here with active facilities. That brings us to another spreadsheet or another homepage here. And there's a few ways that we can sort this. If we are looking for a specific company, we can go ahead and enter that in the box. Facility IDs are in here, but I'm assuming that most people won't know what their facility ID number is, but they may know what the facility name is. Then we can search by address, the city, the county again is on here, LAPC, the fire department, the facility status, and the last time they reported. And then there's some, we can move over and we see some quick buttons as well that we'll get into in just a second. So when I click on a facility as an emergency manager, it will then map it for me. You'll see on the left-hand side where it is now told me mapped where that facility is. And then on the right-hand side, it has brought up the summary of the last tier 2 report. There's a couple different ways that we can play with this facility. We can just view the report by clicking on it, and it will bring up a PDF style tier 2 report. This will have all the information that's required under the tier 2 system. The things that you get now, probably mailed to you in a paper form, will all show up on this. But sometimes this isn't exactly the easiest to maneuver either, although it has all the information. A lot of times we're looking either for a contact number quickly or for amount of chemical quickly. So we do have some different ways that we can look at that as well. Before I get back out of this, I do want to mention if there is at-risk vulnerability, we can set up a secondary. If this was a spill that was actively happening and the emergency manager wanted to see some mapping, we can do that. Since I put in a 10-mile secondary vulnerability, it will tell me that within 6.27 miles there's a school. So that quickly can give me that vulnerability. When I go back to the map, you'll see the initial or the immediate risk at the 1 mile puts a little bit of this highway in here, and then that 10-mile grabbed that school. I can also then look at the at-risk population. In the 1 mile zone, there are 0 people. In the 10-mile zone, there is 1,078 people. And then if I have a plume model from the Aloha system, the EPA's free system, I can also upload that plume model through Aloha right onto this map. So that'll help work in actual spill. Then you can save all that, or if there are certain ones that you want to pre-do, they can be done as well and uploaded to your file. I'm going to go back then to the facilities. And I talked about the quick buttons. So stay on that same facility, but if that's the facility and I did my search the way I want to, and I want to know the chemicals, I want to know that quickly without sorting through that PDF, I can just click on that button, the little chemical, and it's going to show me the chemicals. It's going to tell me for this site, it's crude oil and production water. And then you see here, I have the Cameo data sheet, I have a chemical profile, and I have a first aid guide. It'll give me a summary of how much chemical is there for each chemical, and just a quick outlook of what's really on that site. Makes it a little faster than trying to find it on the PDF. You'll see up here then it's starting to open more boxes or tabs as well, so that I can track some of the things I'm trying to do. I can still go back to that list facilities, and you'll see that these all will do the same thing. Map facility is going to do, to map it, we're already mapped. The worst case vulnerability zone brings up that same pop-up box. The most probable zone, the at-risk population, is going to bring up that same pop-up box. Just different ways to get to it. At-risk sites is the same way. Tells us that school is there. So there's several ways to get to the same thing, but these make it just a little bit quicker. So we put it right after the facility so that it's a little more accessible for the emergency managers should they need it. So I'm going to search Airgas, and you'll see that I've done that already. So it automatically was kind of filling that out. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to click on the facility, and you'll see that it moved it for me. Tells me where it is, moves me on my map, puts me in the county where I'm supposed to be. And then it has the same view or hard copy of the last tier 2. We can go down here and see more details. Just another way to get that same quick information. Here's 3 chemicals on this site. The facility details are here, and here's the contacts. Just by scrolling down, I already got to those emergency contacts if that's who I needed, and they'll be able to help me. Right now, you'll see some of this is still in test. These emails will populate as they do their tier 2s this year. We still have some stuff in the test site. At the bottom of the list facilities, because everything is in here, you'll see that right now there's 3 pages here where I'm 25 pages. I'm sorry, there's 3 that show. I can change that as well if I want to see 300 per page. I can expand the rows so that they're all here. That should only give me 2 pages. I can also do this by city. If I happen to know where I'm close to, and then it'll limit my sites to where they're located on that city. Then I can do the same thing. I can click on it and it'll map it and bring up that exact report. This map is interactive GIS map. So as we zoom out, it'll show us more where we're located in the state, give us a more of a bird's eye view. And then as we zoom in, it just pops open more layers like a normal GIS would. So there's South Hart. We can keep zooming in. It'll bring up, there's our road layer, so that we can make sure we're on the correct site. And then we can get to the exact location. And you'll see the layers here we do have a legend for you. So the triangle is an NDIC well. The star is a tier 2 facility. We didn't get too crazy with our symbology, but we do have the legend just so that you can understand what the difference is between the two, and it might help with what you're trying to see. There are layers in here. We've got most of the layers turned on automatically, so I don't know that you would want to shut any off. But if for some reason a layer is in your way, you can get in and turn off a layer. This is the summary, chemical summary. and then we've went through these. There's quite a bit that this can do for vulnerability. The vulnerability map has been overlaid. We took that from the GIS layer that Department of Emergency Services uses now, so it's as accurate as the latest. And then I want to show the incidents. So there's not a lot of spills in here right now because the spill side will become active January 1st. But we do have this one in here for testing purposes. When I click on that spill, it will show me where that spill is located. And then I can click on the view. It'll show me this green arrows means that this spill was completely filled out. If there is an orange circle with an exclamation point in it, that means that was not completely filled out. That report will still go to all the agencies. And then it will give me all the information on that spill, the location, the reporting party, any of the contact information, weather information. A lot of it's actually more than what's on the spill reports that go out now. We require that they give an estimated volume. That is no longer an optional thing where it'll be open. It's on there as a required, although it may change as they get a more accurate definition. And then who certified the report, or who is the reporting party. So when we list incidents, you'll see here there's an active and inactive. As the state agencies do their approvals and work through the system of doing their inspections or making sure that that spill is cleaned up properly, once everybody is approved and said there's no longer any action, it will go to an inactive status. It'll still stay in the system, but you'll be able to sort that here. If you don't want to see all the inactives or deleted, you can sort that here. If you want to see every spill in your county or your fire district, you can do that as well. The deleted are going to be pretty rare. We do have an instance where you'll have two companies report a spill. Let's say an agricultural facility has a trucking company bring in anhydrous ammonia and they have a hose break. Sometimes the trucking company and the facility that was receiving the anhydrous ammonia will both report that spill. That's where the deleted would come in. We would delete one of those reports. We would actually take the information and combine it into one spill report. So it's not that we're hiding a report or getting rid of a report, it's that they were duplicates and we want to make them one incident. We see a lot of sortable here as well. So all of this stuff is all sortable and can help you get to the exact area that you're wanting to get to, or the exact spill that you're wanting to get to. And then you'll see at the end here, we have the same quick buttons for at-risk population, at-risk sites, the map of the incident, the vulnerability zones. So we can click on those. I can quickly enter whatever I want for a secondary. We can pull this off from the Cameo information as well, or from the Plume model. And then it can kind of give us an area. And then I can check the at-risk population, and it'll give me the population within the threat zone. I can also do the at-risk sites, and it will tell me 0.6 miles away from this is the Heart River School. We tried to make a couple ways to get to everything. The quick buttons, trying to make it quicker and easier to get to what we thought would be the most used things, but that you can always get into the report and get the exact information as well, right out of the report in this view, everything that they entered. We just thought that this sometimes could be a little cumbersome to sort through. So we tried to make some quick buttons that would make it a little bit easier. You'll also see up here on the tab, there's a resources. On that resources is just some quick links to some useful information. Things to remember, or if you're struggling, there's some quick tips in here about what can be done. EPCRA fact sheets. We did get some information, we may be looking at adding the emergency response guidebook to this quick reference. That was brought up in one of our other sessions, that might be a good tool to have in this resources. And then you can manage your own profile here as well if you have updates to the email or your phone number changes. Any of that stuff can be updated in here. And then offline reports. You can do your exports, things of that nature. So now I'm just going to log out as an emergency manager, and I'm going to log in as a fire department so we can see that home page. So when a fire department logs in, they're going to get the same thing. It's going to tell them the last time they logged into the system. They can click OK, and then it'll look kind of similar. There's less information in here right now, just because fire departments isn't gathered right now when they do tier 2s. So when they submit this year and do their tier 2s, our interactive map is going to automatically pick up which fire district they're in and continue to populate this information for our fire districts. So right now you see there's one active facility, number of inactives is 0, and we have 0 EHS and 0. That's just because not all the facilities are populated yet. You will see, I put in a Stark County Fire Department, but you will see that this says Dunn County. One of the things that we did was the fire department's login will be their entire fire district. So if they cross a county line, such as the department that I'm a member of, we cross into Dunn County, I will be able to see both counties' tier 2 information and spill information on my one login. If it's within my district, I'll be able to see it all right here. I won't have to have a separate login to view the separate counties. And then I can do the same thing. I can click on the facilities and it'll bring up the information. I have the quick click for the chemicals, or I can bring up the full report. And here's that full report. You'll see up top here, the buttons are pretty much the same. We have a resource button, the list incident, the list facilities, update to my profile, and the offline reports. Very similar. The only real difference is we don't have that map on the side. List incidents, this would be the spills that would happen within that fire district. They would look exactly the same once you clicked on it, kind of that same board that we've seen with the emergency manager side. Just a quick rundown of which spills are happening within your district, and then very much the same as trying to make everything as sortable as possible so that it's easier for anyone user to get to whatever they're trying to get to or whatever spill they're trying to look at. So that's kind of the emergency manager and fire department side of the system in a nutshell. I would take this opportunity to allow questions. I'll go into the questions that are in the chat here. There's a question that says, do the railroad mileposts work? Yes, the railroad mileposts work, and when they do a spill report, that is one way that they can actually find their address. It is one of the searches that we put in for the reporting party to use as the railroad mile marker, and then it will show up on the map. The next question is, what about the regional hazmat teams? Will they have access to all the counties to which they could respond? The answer to that question is yes. The regional hazmat teams will have a separate login So Fargo Fire would have a Fargo Fire Department login for their normal fire department, and then they would have a regional tech level team that will give them access to all the counties within that jurisdiction, within their region. How can, another question here is, how can a fire department access the map, threatened buildings, and population data? At this time, the fire departments cannot do that. That has to do with how many licenses we bought of the different levels. The state paid for all the licensing so that you guys all have a free login. We're waiting. This will be the first year, so that isn't a possibility at the fire department level at this time, and we'll entertain comments and the year goes on how many would think that would be useful. We know there's about just short of 400 fire departments within the state, and I don't know that all of them will use it to that level versus just calling their emergency manager. So it's definitely something we're open to discussing, but at this time, that's not how we have the licenses set up.
Quick to follow up on that question, would the regional hazmat teams have access to that information then?
Yes, the regional hazmat teams are set up in a different license, is probably the best way to explain that. And when we get ready to set those up, we will do some individual training with those 8 departments on what they can do. It'll look very similar to the emergency manager license.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. I see another one in there. It says, can a response agency upload additional site information such as potential pre-plans? I believe we can, although I'm not super familiar with that piece of this, but I know that plume modeling and things of that nature can be preloaded. Let me get in here again. I will have to check into that one. I know as part of this jurisdictional planner, I'm not as familiar with that piece of it, but I know that they talked about uploading plume models. So I'm pretty sure that we can. I just need to double check that and make sure that I am correct. What information will emergency managers be responsible for entering, and what will facilities be responsible for entering? That's a great question, Jerry. Thanks for asking that. The emergency managers are not responsible for entering any of this information. It will be on the facilities to enter their information. So this will play off from our tier 2 reporting that we do now and just make it more accessible to you guys. The emergency managers basically will just log in and tell us who's not reporting, versus having to actually enter anything yourself. And same with the spill reporting system. It's just putting it in one spot for you guys to be able to manage everything in one area versus having it spread out over several different areas, or getting part of it in an email. Not that you won't still get the emails if you have a spill in your jurisdiction, but if you get an email on a spill and you can't find the email, or you want to look at the spill, you'll be able to log into this system and see the spill. You'll be able to see if it's associated with a tier 2 facility. All of that will be in the one-stop site. And then as far as trying to enter facility information for chemical storage, the facilities will do all of that, and it will automatically populate your logins. Do we have other questions? I see one typed into the chat. Will emergency managers still be entering spills into WebEOC? That's a great question that we're still working through. We know that not all the spills will go into WebEOC anymore. We'll leave spills in this new system since everyone will have access to it. We're working on what criteria will make it become a WebEOC entry. WebEOC entries will become more of a true incident versus every single spill. So it may be one that is a concern to the emergency manager or one that has ongoing response. We know that it will be any of them that include the regional hazmat team requests. We've talked about those automatically going into WebEOC for tracking purposes. But we do know that it won't be every spill that we see in WebEOC now. Do the emergency managers have a suggestion to which ones should go in WebEOC? Are there other questions, comments, concerns?
Hey, Jeff, it's Roxanne. Did you mention to them that they will no longer be receiving the paper copies?
I did not. Thank you for reminding me of that, Roxanne. With the logins, the paper copies of the tier 2s will no longer be mailed out. A county or a fire department still has the right to request that, but this login will take away the need to have to do it that way. So right now, unless it's requested, the paper copies won't get emailed out or mailed out in the paper form to the LEPCs or the fire departments. Also, that'll change that reconciliation that we've had to do in the past. With this system being, you'll be able to see exactly what was reported to the state. So your reconciliation will change. You won't get a email, can you confirm you got all of these? It'll be more of an ask, is anything missing from your login? Do you know of a facility that hasn't reported that isn't in your system? Yes, we will. I see a question that says, will you be sending out information for the emergency managers and the fire departments to register into the system? Yes, we will. January 1st is the turn on date. So we will get everybody the information on where this is going to sit. It looks like the website is going to be spill.nd.gov. And then they'll be able to go there and get to that homepage where I started to register for their logins. Do we have other questions?
Will there be additional training resources for this software in case someone joins on later without this training here?
Yes, when we get that spill.nd.gov running, there'll be a training section on there. We'll share some of these recorded sessions as well as instructions and training material there as well. for all 3 levels, both the tier 2 for the new facilities, EM and fire, and the spill reporters. So there will be information on that site on how to train. And then part of that will be the help desk, which will be my team at the hazardous chemical section at DES, myself, Randy, and Roxanne. So we'll be able to help with that as well. And our emails and stuff will be on that site too, for people to reach out to if they're having trouble.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. I know it's a lot of change. Several of you emergency managers have been hearing about this for quite a while. I know that sometimes you have to get in there and play around a little bit yourself before you really know what your questions are. We appreciate that. Don't be scared once we get your logins. If you have questions, reach out to us. You might not be the only one with a question, so we can address issues and try to fix things. We tried to make a better system, a more usable system, but we also know that we went from the database that we had to this new database was quite a leap. So we probably didn't hit 100%. So we'll be happy to hear suggestions and changes for the next version 2.0, so to speak. We don't know how much of that we'll be able to do, but at least be able to entertain the ideas will be great this first year. Do we have more questions or comments? If not, I thank everybody for their time. I'll hang on just a little bit in case somebody has a final question, but I'm sure more will come up as we roll out the last pieces and we start registering. So just know that we're excited to help get this going, and we're excited to help you guys learn how to use the system. And thank you once again for joining, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.